Week 10 in college football with Guys at the Bar Talking Sports.
What? Are you doing season 2 of that stupid show?
Honey, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Again? Just where are you going?
Where are you going? You're not going to the bar again, are you?
You like hanging out, drinking beer at the bar, talking sports? Come on out and join us weekly. Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, your podcast for just that. Hanging out, drinking some beer, talking sports. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Hanger giving you guys your Week 10 college football update with Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. Thank you for listening. I am still recovering after a terrible loss. The Florida Gators lost 40-17 to the South Carolina Gamecocks. Congratulations to the Gamecocks, though. I actually live in South Carolina, and they needed a little bit of a pick-me-up in that program, I tell you what. And not that I'm happy the Gators lost, because that is just a terrible loss and demoralizing for the Gators. It really did activate a lot of happiness, I'm sure, in a lot of the friends that I have. So, yeah. Congratulations to the Gamecocks. That was a great win. Not a top 25 matchup, obviously. So we're going to jump into the top 25 matchups here. But I went to that game, and it was just terrible. It really was. And but you know what? The Gamecocks needed a little bit of a pick-me-up. So all my friends, congrats. There you go. That's what you get. So anyway, going forward, college football playoff rankings are about to look much different on Tuesday when the committee decides the top 25, and especially those in the running for the playoffs, because this week was just crazy. Number 25, Fresno State, the same Fresno State that got to 25 after beating San Diego State last week, lost pretty badly to Boise State, 40-14. Number 24, Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana beat Georgia State. This is the same Georgia State that beat Auburn early in the season. Louisiana beats them, though, 21-17. Number 23, SMU got upset by Memphis, 28-25. That's right. That's 2 upsets so far in the top 25 right there. So SMU gets upset by Memphis 28-25 and will likely drop out of the top 25 this week. Number 22, Penn State, though, will stay in the top 25 for another week as they are able to beat Maryland 31-14. Again, they have a solid defensive performance but struggle for the first 3 quarters offensively, but managed to find a way back to put up 17 points, with 7 of those coming in a pick 6 in the fourth quarter. So in the fourth quarter, they were able to score 17 points. Number 21, Coastal Carolina had their way with Georgia Southern, winning as expected. It was 28-8. Coastal Carolina, pretty solid team, 1 loss. Number 20, Houston goes to 8-1 as they went back and forth against USF. USF's terrible team, but they're able to put up some points. Houston wins 54-42. Number 19, Iowa, who started off strong and are hoping to, have after some recent struggles, are hoping to finish up this season strong, being still in control of their own Big Ten destiny. So they had a win against Northwestern 17-12, not really that strong of a showing. Offensively, that's not a very good performance for Iowa. Number 18, Kentucky, in yet another upset for a top 25 team, lose to a much improved Tennessee Volunteers 45-42. I know a lot of Tennessee fans listen to the show as well, and congrats on that. That is a huge win for your program. Tennessee may not be back this season, but you know what? Next season, I think that they are going to be looked at in the SEC East for sure. Number 17, BYU scores 59 points to Idaho State, and they scored 14 points. So BYU wins 59-14. The Cougars were dominant as expected in this game. Number 16, UTSA, that's University of Texas San Antonio, played UTEP, which is University of Texas El Paso, and won 44-23. The University of Texas San Antonio, they are called the Roadrunners, by the way, and they're 9-0. And you know what? The last 3 games of the season, they're going to win those as well. They're going to go undefeated. Number 15, Ole Miss beats Liberty 27-14. This win was expected, but they will be hosting Texas A&M next week, which is shaping up to be a must-watch game for next weekend. 2 must-watch games in a week for Texas A&M, by the way. Baylor, number 14, falls to 7-2 after playing a close game back and forth with TCU, but TCU wins this game in another upset for the week, 30-28. The only meeting between 2 top 25 teams this week was number 12 Auburn versus number 13 Texas A&M. Both teams were at 3 points apiece at halftime, and the score was 6-3 going into the fourth quarter. Texas A&M was up. A few mistakes by Auburn, though, and a scooped-up fumble and score by Texas A&M led to Texas A&M winning 20-3. Bo Nix was just looking rough, and it was in his head during this game. I tell you what, road game. I thought that he would be a little bit better on the road, and I guess that did not pan out. Number 11, Oklahoma State wins 24-3 against a West Virginia who has definitely had a rough season this year. Oklahoma State is 8-1, and they're still in control of their own destiny in the Big 12. Obviously, they play at the end of the season Oklahoma, who will likely be undefeated by that point as well, and that is going to be a huge matchup to determine whether Oklahoma deserves to be in the top 4, or maybe even whether Oklahoma State deserves to be in the top 4 at that point, depending upon how things pan out, of course. And another big upset this week, and amazingly, Vegas called this by around 3 points as well. I think it was 2.5 points. The University of North Carolina Tar Heels beat number 10 Wake Forest 58-55. Now, we all knew that Wake Forest had a terrible defense and people would be scoring on them, but you would think that the offense would be able to put up enough points to win, especially when Sam Hartman had 398 yards in the air and 5 touchdown passes, but they could not beat Sam Howell and his offense over there with the Tar Heels. Bad loss for Wake Forest. Everyone was counting on them to win the ACC and also go undefeated to get them into the top and to get that conference into the playoffs, and I don't think that's going to happen at this point. Coming off a loss to Michigan State, the number 9 Michigan Wolverines are working to show they are still worthy. The playoff committee even put them at number 7 with that one loss against Michigan State. And they beat Indiana this weekend 29-7. Number 8 Notre Dame with one loss has to do all they can to look the part as a playoff contender going into the final stretch of the season. They beat Navy 34-6, looking very solid. But Navy is 2-7, so I don't know how solid of a win that is, and I don't know if that's going to be very impressive for their resume. But it is a win, and that's what Notre Dame needs, is a lot of wins to look like they are going to be in the top 4 at the end of the season, because they still do control their destiny as well. I don't know if they control their destiny. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, because it's going to depend upon some losses in that top 4. But you know what? We did see one of those losses today, and we'll get into that in a second. Number 7, Oregon. They are, of course, number 4 in the playoff committee's poll. They have to keep winning to stay in that top 4, and they did. They beat Washington 26-16. Washington does not necessarily help the strength of schedule, though, which is something the committee weighs heavily in their decision-making, obviously. Number 6, Ohio State, who is number 5 and just outside the top 4 by the playoff committee, had a tough fight against Nebraska, who plays everybody tough this season, by the way, especially the top 10 teams that they were playing. This is the 4th top 10 team that they played. In all of those 4, they were pretty close behind. Ohio State did win this game 26-17. They won by 9 points against Nebraska, who, of all the top 10 teams that they've played, were winning by barely, those teams beat them barely by 3 or 5 or 6, I think is the numbers. But yeah, Ohio State, tough win. Is this going to help their strength of schedule as well? Is this going to affect them in the poll? Who knows? Wait and see, though, right? Number 5, Michigan State, who is number 3 in the playoff committee's first ranking, will no longer be number 3 as they are upset by Purdue. Who's Your Daddy called this on Thursday's live show, by the way. Purdue wins 40-29. The Boilermakers are definitely spoiler makers over there of these top 5 teams, I must admit it. Number 3, Alabama struggled and did not look exactly like the best offense in the country after a bad showing against LSU. Multiple 3-and-outs by an Alabama with lots of mistakes as well. But they still managed to squeak out the win, 20-14. Everybody is critical of Alabama right now, the way that they played. But you know what? I think LSU is a little bit better than their schedule makes it, or their record makes it out to be. But I might just be, looking at it through rose-colored glasses. I don't know how I could be because I'm not a fan of either team. But, yeah, Alabama still has Arkansas and Auburn. And if they can win those games and win out, I definitely see them in the top 4 still. This might affect their number 2 ranking by the playoff committee right now, though, and drop them down a little bit. Number 2, Cincinnati needs to continue to dominate every team that they play. But the last 2 weeks they have not, and actually yesterday they did not either. They barely beat Tulsa 28-20. They do remain undefeated, though, at 9-0, and most likely will go undefeated. I think that they do play SMU at the end of the season, and SMU is playing some great football early, but they have not been playing quite as good football lately. And, of course, there's Georgia. Yeah, Georgia, that's right. Number 1, Georgia. I think it's Georgia and then everybody else because they are just dominating every team that they play. And it's not just that they're dominating them. The other teams can't score touchdowns. I think that there's been 4 or 5 games this season where nobody has even scored a touchdown against these Georgia Bulldogs. This defense is just insane. And they went to Missouri, and they win 43-6 against Missouri. I must say I am beginning to believe that anything can happen this season. So many top 25 upsets and near upsets. The good thing, though, is that the stagnant college football playoff over the last 8 years seems to be getting mixed up quite a bit. There are many teams near the top 4 who legitimately have a shot in the top 4 that you would never have thought would have a shot a few years ago. Yet they are knocking on the door of the college football playoff. If this is not a year that we should seriously be looking at an 8-team playoff, I don't know what year that would be. The college football committee needs to look at a way to create a top 8-team playoff. Obviously, we'd be having the same arguments about team 9 and 10 and 11, but at least it gives more people a shot to be the national champions. Because besides Georgia, I don't see a top 4 right now, in all honesty. There are a lot of good teams out there. So anyway, thanks for listening to Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. This is your Week 10 college football wrap-up. Keep an eye out for the Week 9 NFL wrap-up on Tuesday, and then obviously we do that show on Thursday with the Guys at the Bar Talking Sports, and we should be back at the bar next week, so keep on coming back every week for more Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, man, how can I help these guys out? Well, first thing you can do, subscribe to the show. By subscribing to the show, you'll be able to hear it every single week on your favorite podcatcher. Second thing you do, if your podcatcher lets you do it, give it a review and 5 stars. I know Apple Podcasts will allow you to do that. So give it 5 stars and a review. And then the third thing you do is hop on Facebook, type in Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. You'll see our group there. Join it. You'll love it. Best sports group on Facebook, guaranteed. Lots of good stuff going on in there, so check it out. And then come back next week for Guys at the Bar Talking Sports. It's your boy Hanger looking for a beer. Actually, we're all looking for a beer, so if you want to buy the guys a beer, at Guys at the Bar Talking Sports on Venmo. That's it. Easy as drinking a beer.